You should put that as the thing at the beginning.
Oswald Disney salad. I definitely will.
Welcome to Blood, Guts, and Booze.
I'm Olivia.
And I'm Kendrah. And this is a comedy podcast here to frighten you and make you question the world that we live in. So sit back with your favorite snacks and let's dive into this. Listener discretion is advised, as these podcasts are not for the faint of heart, nor are they PG. Welcome back, ghouls and ghouls.
Goblins and ghouls.
How was your past week, Olivia?
I went camping.
Yeah?
Yes. Yes, it was quite relaxing. There was a cemetery trail with gravestones on it, and it was like mosquito and tick central. I got eaten alive by the skeeters. Yeah, and
that always sucks.
Yeah, but it was like a historical site. There was a whole village of the family that used to own it, an old mill from 1798. Last one in the area left that didn't get destroyed in the War of 1812.
Neat.
Yes, it was actually really cool.
I also did, like, I guess it would be called glamping, because I spent a few days in a trailer, but I went and visited my in-laws.
Oh, yes, you had quite a drive for that.
Yes, it's quite a long drive from where we are.
I was 40 minutes from our house.
Yeah, about 4.5 to 5 hours from ours.
A little bit longer than my trip.
But I, too, got eaten by mosquitoes.
Yes. They were so bad the last week. The humidity. There was a few days it was supposed to rain, and it didn't. The humidity just made the skeeters terrible. I also had a raccoon steal one of my containers.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, on that depressing note, let's get even more depressing. This week I'm traveling back across the pond to the United Kingdom. And yet again, back to England.
London? My mom's from there, it's okay.
I tried to add more non-American cases, and most are from England. I promise I'll eventually travel the world for you guys. I'm also trying my hardest to eventually cover every state for our American listeners and every province for our Canadians. Anyways, I am going to cover the very sad case of James Bulger. So James Patrick Bulger was born March 16th, 1990. He was from Kirkby, Merseyside, England. On the afternoon of Friday, February 12th, 1993, 3-year-old James and his mother were shopping at this New Strand shopping center in Bootle. They went to A.R. Tim's butcher shop on the lower floor of the center. At around 3:40 p.m., Denise, James's mother, let go of his hand to pay for her shopping, and then realized that he had left the store. In another part of the mall, though, 10-year-olds John Venables, and Robert Thompson were playing hooky from school, which they often did.
I already know this case. As soon as you mentioned the James in the shopping mall, I was like, oh, I already know.
I always like to try to surprise you.
I'm sorry, I do listen to a lot of true crime podcasts as well as paranormal ones.
Well, as always,
they get blended together.
As always, I hope that there's something that I teach you today.
Yeah, there's, hopefully I hear things that I haven't heard when I heard this on another podcast.
Damn you, other podcasts. So, throughout the day, the two boys stole sweets, a troll doll, some batteries, and a can of blue paint. They were also casually watching other children, trying to find a target for their plan. Their plan was to kidnap a child, lead him to the busy road outside the traffic center, and push him into oncoming traffic.
It's pretty morbid for, what, you said 10-year-olds?
Yeah.
This is like some Halloween Michael Myers shit.
Little bit. This is not what happened, though. John and Robert approached little James, took him by the hand, then led him out of the shopping center, which is usually the thing that makes everybody remember this case, because that moment was caught on CCTV, and it was at 3:52 p.m. It's likely the most famous photo related to this case. The boys led James to the Leeds and Liverpool Canal, about a quarter mile from the shopping center. While there, they dropped James on his head.
Oh.
He suffered injuries to his face. A witness later claimed that when they saw James at the canal, he was crying his eyes out.
Aw.
Now, let me just stop here for a second. There was a witness. So this entire story didn't need to continue, but it did.
Well, that person is one of the biggest pieces of shit in the world.
They may have also not. Just wait. So the boys, they were joking about pushing James into the canal. They didn't, though, and continued walking. The three boys walked about 4 more kilometers across Liverpool.
Oh, wow.
They were seen by 38 people. 38 fucking people. Out of those 38, only 2 questioned the boys. They claimed to one that he was their brother, and to another that he was lost and they were taking him to the police station. Again, sorry. This is when it could have been stopped. Doing my research, these parts just made me a little bit angry.
Well, whether or not you questioned them, you should have called that shit in and been like, hey, there's like these 3 random kids on this busy ass street. No parents.
Mm-hmm.
Cops would have shown up so fast.
And if I approached 3 children, that sounds terrible to say you're approaching children, but I'm a mom. If I approached 3 children and they said, oh, they found a lost little 3-year-old boy and they were taking him to the police station, I would go, let me come with you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Or wait here, let me call someone to come and help you.
Yeah. I mean, you also have to remember that this is further back. I don't know if their cell phones really...
What year was this?
93. Oh,
well, there would have been big-ass clunky cell phone walkie-talkie things.
But nothing like we have now. So
No.
probably not everybody had one. But, okay, I can take you to the police station.
Mm-hmm.
Or, let's flag down a different adult. So anyways, at one point, they went into a pet shop, but got kicked out. They eventually ended up in the village of Walton. The boys stopped in front of the Walton police station and hesitated. But, sadly, they continued.
Mm.
They led James up a steep bank to a railway line. This is where it's going to get a little bit graphic, so tune out if you don't want to hear this part. There is a big warning.
Trigger warning.
Yes. One of the boys threw the paint that they had stolen into James's left eye. They kicked him, stomped on him, and threw sticks and bricks at him. They placed the batteries that they had stolen in James's mouth. According to police, they also placed them in James's anus, although none were found there.
What 10-year-old even thinks to put it, of all things, in the bum? You know what I mean?
Yeah. The 2 boys then dropped a 10-kilogram or 22-pound iron bar on his head.
Oh,
This alone caused 10 skull fractures.
poor boy.
John and Robert then laid James's body across the train tracks. They weighed his head down with rocks and rubble. They hoped that a train would hit him and make his death look like an accident.
Oh, no.
After the boys left the scene, James's body was cut in half by a train.
Oh, no.
James's poor tiny little body was found 2 days later by some schoolboys. Which also too would be like, I don't know, like...
Traumatizing?
Yeah, lifetime traumatizing as a child to come across a little dead body. So police quickly suspected a sexual element to the crime because James wasn't wearing any shoes, socks, pants, or undies. The police also quickly found the low-quality CCTV images of James being abducted from the center. The images were released to the media. They stated that James had been seen with quote-unquote 2 youths, who they assumed were teenagers. The breakthrough, though, came when a woman who knew that Robert and John had played hooky that day recognized John in an enhanced image of the abduction. So she contacted the police and the boys were arrested. It was a shock to everybody that the suspects were so young, including the police. I mean, really, when you think of people doing something like this, you think of a gross old man. You don't think of 2 10-year-old children.
Mm-hmm.
So forensic tests confirmed that John and Robert both had the same blue paint on their clothing that was found on James's body. The pattern of bruises found on James's right cheek matched the features of the upper part of Robert's shoe, and the blood that was found on the shoe matched James's DNA. The case pathologist stated that James suffered 42 injuries, and because there were so many, it couldn't be determined what the final blow was. One of the injuries was that James's foreskin had been forcefully pulled back.
Oh.
It was also found that James had died before he was struck by the train.
Well, I'm glad, he passed before. I mean, it would have been quick, but that's very violent. Not that what he had wasn't violent, but I'm glad he went before the train hit him.
I wrote this 2 weeks ago, and it is making me re-angry and sick all over again. But I felt like it was a story that needed to be told, and it just gets worse. I mean, we've gotten through the worst of some of it, but just wait, Olivia. So, when John and Robert were questioned, they denied placing the batteries in James's anus, and they were reluctant to give any details about the foreskin when questioned about it. Even years later, John still claims to have zero recollection of any sexual aspect to the murder. I mean, they were 10, they probably didn't understand that. Or they were curious, or whatever. So John and Robert were charged with the murder of James Bulger on February 20th, 1993. 2 days later, they were remanded in custody awaiting trial. They were held in secure units where they would eventually be sentenced. Up to 500 protesters showed up during the boys' initial court appearance. Trial began November 1st, 1993. It was conducted as an adult trial, with the boys being separated from their parents.
Good. At that point, it should be. If you want to act like an adult and make silly decisions, then you're going to be treated like an adult.
It wasn't very usual for that to happen in England at the time, though. The boys denied the charges of murder, abduction, and attempted abduction. The attempted abduction charge was because earlier on in the day that they had kidnapped James, they had also tried to kidnap another little boy, but were stopped by the boy's mom. There was a lot of criticism about trying them like adults. Later in 1999, it was questioned whether or not they were even given a fair trial because of it, and the fact that the trial was so public. It was determined, though, that they were old enough to understand right from wrong, so they were tried as adults.
Makes sense.
John and Robert did not speak during their trial. The case against them was mainly based on 20 hours of taped interviews with them. Robert was considered to be the one in the lead of the abduction process. A solicitor of John's during the trial stated that Robert was one of the most frightening children that he had ever seen and compared him to the Pied Piper.
Oh.
So for those of you who don't know, the Pied Piper is an old fairy tale or folklore of a man who would use his magical musical pipe to lure rats away from the cities. And if the townspeople did not pay, then the Pied Piper would lure their children away as well.
I knew the mouse part. It's been so long since, because like you automatically tied the Pied Piper to the rats, right? Sorry, not mouse, rats. But it's been so long, I completely forgot that he would do that to children if he didn't get paid.
Yeah. Old fairy tales are kind of twisted.
They really, really are.
So John had apparently had the idea of taking him to the train tracks. He also claimed that James seemed to really like him. He willingly held his hand and really enjoyed when John would pick him up during their walk. Which just breaks your heart. Especially as a mom, this just breaks my heart. Mm-hmm. Some exhibits entered into the trial included 27 bricks, a blood-stained stone, James's underwear, and the rusty iron bar that they dropped on his head. When the pathologist finally spoke, it took him 33 minutes to outline all of the injuries that James had suffered.
Wow.
His brain damage was extensive and included a hemorrhage. On November 24th, 1993, 11-year-olds John Venables and Robert Thompson were found guilty of murder, a minimum term of 8 years.
Which would make them 18.
Mm-hmm. At one point, British tabloids and other people started pointing fingers and stating that exposure to violent videos might have been a contributing factor for why they committed the murder. The movie that they claimed inspired the boys was Child's Play 3, because in one scene, Chucky is splashed with blue paint. Police found zero evidence linking the case with this. John Venables' father had rented the movie before the killing. It was never proved that John had ever seen the movie. They went through roughly 200 movies in the home and could not pinpoint a single movie or scene for an influence.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So 5 years after the crime, England changed its laws about charging children as adults. Before the James Bulger case, anyone under 14 could not be tried for criminal behavior. But they clearly made an exception for these two.
Mm-hmm.
Without fully proving that the children knew what they did was wrong. In 1998, the Crime and Disorder Act changed it to 10 years old, making it one of the lowest in the Western world.
Hey man, like I said earlier, if you want to make silly adult decisions, I mean, you should pay the consequences as a silly adult.
The lowest age of criminal responsibility is 7.
Oh, wow.
In Switzerland, Nigeria, and South Africa. It's 12 in Canada, by the way.
I think I knew that. I thought it was like 12 or 14, so...
So in June 2001, it was determined that John and Robert would be released. They were given new identities, moved to secret locations, and placed under a witness protection type program. Which I've always thought should never be allowed for criminals.
Especially because when you're a child, that's when your brain's developing the most. If you've already killed someone as a child, who's to say that you're not going to do it again as an adult?
Mm-hmm. The terms of their release were as follows. No contact with each other. No contact with James's family. They were prohibited from visiting the Merseyside region. They had curfews and must report to probation officers. Fair rules. If they broke these rules, they would be deemed a risk to society and could be sent back to prison. Months after the trial and the birth of their second son, the Bulgers got divorced. Denise remarried and had 2 more sons. Ralph, James's stepfather, also remarried and had 3 daughters. So there has been a lot of people claiming to have pictures of John and Robert as adults. Whenever they're posted, the police quickly step in and try to get them removed. And people have been charged for it. This has happened as recently as January 2020.
Well, in that case, don't post it. Just show people like a normal, show other people. Be like, hey, you know.
It's not so much about risking the lives of John and Robert, but they're also risking the lives of the innocent people whose pictures get posted, claiming to be these two people.
Yep.
In 2016, a woman was sentenced to 3 years for sending Denise messages on Twitter, claiming to be one of her son's killers.
Oh, that's so terrible.
And also her son's ghost.
Some people's grandkids, what the fuck?
Later in 2016, a man was charged for stalking Denise. He had previously already received a warning from police for stalking her in 2008.
Oh my goodness.
So after John's release, he had a rough go. He allegedly began dating a woman with a child. After her, when he was 23, his next girlfriend was only 17. He began drinking, doing drugs, and once arrested, on suspicion of starting a bar fight. He also started visiting Merseyside area, which was a breach of his probation. Twice, he revealed his real identity to a friend. In March 2010, it was revealed that he had returned to prison for charges involving child pornography.
Ew.
In June, he was charged with possession and distribution of indecent images of children. He had downloaded 57 indecent images in a 12-month period and had allowed others to access the files. He pled guilty and was sentenced to 2 years. I won't go into any details about this crime, but the little that I read was really disturbing.
And this is why you shouldn't let them in.
In May 2011, John was again given a new identity, as his old one had been compromised, and in September 2013, he was released from prison again.
He's such a dumbass.
But don't worry, in 2017, he was reported as being back in prison again for possession of child abuse imagery.
No.
He pleaded guilty again, and in September 2020, he was denied parole. Britain has apparently considered relocating John to either Canada,
Get the fuck out of here.
Australia, or New Zealand, as keeping his identity anonymous in Britain is costing far too much money.
Oh my god.
New Zealand's Prime Minister said he should, quote unquote, not bother applying.
Wow. I'm not laughing at, like, I'm just laughing at how dumb that fucking guy is. It is disgusting that he's into child pornography and...
That's not funny.
And, you know, yeah, it's definitely not funny, but, like, all that stuff, like, the crimes he's committed, and those aren't funny. It's just
that
funny that he keeps fucking going into jail because he's a dumbass. Like...
I thought the New Zealand Prime Minister
just wanted
was funny.
to make that clear. Please don't at me or at us being like, Olivia's a jerk, because that's not what that meant.
Now we have your favorite part, trivia, and I have quite a little bit for you today. So, John and Robert were the youngest convicted murderers in modern British history. The family of one boy who was detained for questioning had to flee the city due to threats by vigilantes.
Wow, that's not okay.
Robert allegedly asked police when being questioned if the 2-year-old had been taken to the hospital to, quote, get him alive again. John and Robert's parents moved to different parts of the country and assumed new identities after death threats. Robert's psychiatrist at the trial stated that Robert suffered from PTSD after the attack. Poor guy.
I'm just shaking my head. I know you guys can't see it, but I'm just shaking my head.
Where the boys were placed after the trial was not publicly known until after their releases. Denise once got an anonymous tip on how to find Robert, but she said that once she seen him, she froze and could not confront him.
I get it.
I mean, I would be beating him with everything in my purse,
Well,
but...
I feel like I would want to act out, but I feel like I would probably have the same reaction as her. I would just freeze, because I'd be like... At the same time, like, I know he's a piece of shit, and he killed your son, but you now have more kids, and that wouldn't be fair if you went to jail for killing this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Right? You know?
Yeah. There is a memorial garden at the school that James would have attended if he hadn't been murdered.
Oh, that's lovely.
In 2012, a 26-year-old man was arrested for allegedly setting up a Facebook group titled, "What Happened to James Bulger Was Fucking Hilarious."
Oh, God.
One juror from the case came out later stating that he regrets his decision to vote guilty and believed that they should have been treated more like children than adults.
No.
In 2019, James's father went to court trying to get John's real identity revealed because he was only given anonymity because he wouldn't reoffend. Since he had, his identity should be known. It was denied.
Boo.
He has a fair point, though.
Yeah.
It's...
Well, he did commit many offenses afterwards. You know what I mean?
We gave you your second chance, now fuck you.
We gave you a third and a fourth and a fifth and a sixth, but you're still a dumbass.
It's estimated that since being freed the first time, John has cost the public around £5 million, or $8.6 million in Canada, in Canadian.
Which is probably like 6 or 7 mil American, maybe, roughly.
I don't know the
I'm
exchange
just-
rate right now.
I don't know the
Y'all can
exchange
Google
rate.
it.
I'm just, throwing a ball in there.
Michael Jackson sent the family flowers and a personal message after James's murder, and even let the family release his song Heal the World early for a fundraiser to build a school for bullied children.
Oh, that's amazing.
And lastly, Robert Thompson is in a happy long-term relationship with a man who actually knows his true identity.
Interesting. So your trivia, a lot of your trivia I didn't know, and I didn't know about the dumbass being a dumbass multiple times, because I remember the one podcast I listened to, it would have been almost like 4 years ago, so some of that information hadn't even happened yet. So some of the newer information of him constantly reoffending, I didn't know, which was nice to hear those new updated facts. But yeah, I'm more angry than anything else. Angry that they got let out, angry that they were terrible, terrible human beings from birth. They literally came out of the womb choosing violence.
Yeah.
And that's not okay. But yeah, it's a really sad case, and my condolences out to James's family, for sure.
100%. And I mean...
That child didn't deserve any of that. He was so innocent in all of this.
He was a baby.
He was a baby.
Like, you remember when my kid was 3?
Oh my God. Yeah. A lot of people probably would have gone to jail if something like that happened. Your child. Yep.
So anyways, now that I have ruined childhood, please tell us about the happiest place on earth.
Well, I'm about to ruin the childhoods even more. That's right, the childhoods.
Excellent, eh?
Yep. So I hope you guys are ready for part 2 of this dark Disney-ish series. Today we're going to cover like conspiracies, some fun facts, and some really dark Disney facts about the movies, and yeah.
I'm
All right.
excited to hear all of the things that I don't know, but I also probably know a lot.
Yeah, Kendrah, like we keep mentioning, is a Disney fanatic, so...
Just a little bit.
I mean, some of the stuff I have is literally information she's given me. I should just put her in my 2 pages of, like sources.
My best friend is obsessed with Disney.
Yeah. So, we're gonna start off with a few fun facts mixed with, like, park conspiracies.
Okay.
And it's going to be a little bit of both. It's going to be like tossing a salad and just mixing it all up.
You're going to toss Walt Disney's salad?
A Walt Disney salad.
You're going to toss his salad?
Ew. So Walt Disney passed away on December 15th, 1966 from lung cancer at the ripe age of 65.
Oh. R.I.P.
R.I.P. There are rumors he had his head or his whole body frozen and hidden somewhere within the park so that one day he could return into the future.
Facts.
Many theorists think the movie Frozen was a cover-up to deter people from the rumors of the frozen Watsicle located within the park.
What?
A Watsicle. You know, like a Walt Disney popsicle.
Just the whole theory.
Oh.
What?
I was like, a Watsicle.
I haven't heard that theory. But I have heard many, many times that he was cryogenically frozen.
Well, I was also reading that... So the reason they think the movie Frozen was to cover it up is because... what was it? Something along the lines, like, it's basically supposed to be like a whole Easter egg of what happened to Walt Disney's body. Frozen, like, when Anna gets frozen, you know? And then Elsa is all like, yeah, oh, foreshadowing. So Club 33 is a club within the Disneyland park for A-listers. There are 2 fees when joining, a starter fee of $25,000 and an annual fee of $11,000. Some people wait years for a chance to even enter inside of the mysterious Club 33. It was apparently meant for the Freemason and the Illuminati gatherings.
Fun fact, there is also another luxurious hidden suite in Cinderella's castle. This secret spot is the only hotel in the Magic Kingdom, and guests enter through a pumpkin carriage elevator, which brings lucky travelers into a royal room with 2 princess-worthy beds, stained glass windows, and a working fireplace. But no matter how much money you have, you can only be invited.
Oh.
In order to stay there into Cinderella's suite. By winning a sweepstake or being invited as a special guest.
Well, I'm about to enter every Disney sweepstake contest that I can to get, and it'll be you and I, baby. Oh, yeah.
I want to go.
We're going to say bye to all the family members and...
Invite me. And don't
Decal.
sue me while I'm there for my arm.
Wouldn't that would actually be really shitty, but kind of funny at the same time.
They technically can sue me. If they really wanted to and they found out that my sleeve is all Disney characters, they could sue me.
Well, just make sure you go at the right time of year when it's cool enough you can wear a full sleeve. So,
or just get a bunch of Kat Von D makeup.
That too.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
That is A-okay.
But yes, Club 33 is another thing that I would love to be in.
Yeah, and it can take years to even get in there.
Maybe I'm already in it.
And it's very...
Maybe I'm in the Illuminati.
Oh my goodness. We'll cover that another day. The Illuminati, not Kendrah being in it.
What?
So, Treasure Island was thought to be closed due to a bacteria in the water inside of the park. There are also many theories on Reddit as to why it is abandoned. But it is completely abandoned and apparently haunted. I did read somewhere that it was a commenter, I believe, on the Reddit post, said, now it could be Reddit or it could have been somewhere else, I'm blanking. But they were saying something that they used to work there. There was a law, like basically a bylaw in Florida, I believe, where you can't have a water park attached to like the main water system of the city. So they had to close it down because the water was...
Ooh.
Yeah, which is kind of icky, so...
The lazy river of the sewer water.
Hey, Mom, you see that rat over there?
Delicious.
Disneyland has vents that project scents for you to go around to certain food stands or rides.
I knew that.
Yeah, and certain times of the year, they will have certain scents. So fall would have a pumpkin spice, and I would just be in heaven if I was there. I've already started decorating for Halloween. Like, it's...
But you don't even notice. Unless you, like, know that they're doing it, you don't notice.
Well, and at Christmas, I guess they do, like, peppermint to put you in a better mood and make it... Yeah. I feel like maybe if you're aware of it, you would notice it, but if you're not aware of it, it's like, oh my God, let's go over here. And it's attracting you over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Opening day at Disney had about 6,000 tickets made, and it is said that 28,000 people tried to get inside, causing a lot of issues outside of the park on the roads.
Makes
there were,
sense.
like, collisions and... I get it. Everyone wanted to get in, right? You will never step on gum in a Disney park. You also cannot buy gum inside of a Disney park.
It's because they don't like trash.
They are, like, you are, literally my next point is you are always in close proximity to a trash can.
Do you know why?
Because they're very, very anal about garbage.
But do you know why they're distant that far apart?
I probably read it, but I'll let you answer this question.
Thanks, Alex. I'll take Disney facts for 500. It's because Walt didn't like mess, and he didn't ever want trash in the park.
Yeah, it makes
so
sense.
the measuring distance is exactly how long it took Walt to eat a hot dog.
Oh, that's actually really interesting.
And that's the exact, because
So
every
how
time
long was that? Do you know the distance?
I want to say it's like 30 feet, maybe. But it's exactly how long it takes him to eat a hot dog.
Makes sense.
And then as soon as his hot dog and he needs to throw away the wrapper, that's where the next trash can will be.
That makes sense. I get it. That actually makes really
He's
smart
a
man.
genius.
Walt Disney himself hated beers. So at the time, you had to be like pretty clean shaven to be an employee there. But now employees are allowed very small, modest beards. Epcot stands for Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. Walt had a vision for Epcot that was for people to actually physically live and work inside of there. He wanted it to be meant as a real city. Because Disney World itself is considered a town or city.
Yeah, that's why it's not like it's streets. There's streets there. I want to live there.
Well, you could have had a chance to live in Epcot if it went through.
Who says I still can?
In 1971, you could purchase a ticket for $3.50 as an adult or $2.50 for ages 12 to 17.
I want it.
Now it's like $1 bazillion to get in.
Right. Me and Ron recently, our child, our tiny human, asked to go to Disney. So we actually looked up and about like approximate costs and things, and we ballparked that it would cost for like a good week-long stay for the three of us about 10 grand.
Yep.
Just 10 grand.
And it's like, do we go to Disney World or do we get married? Like, that's a lot of money. 10 grand. Whew.
I still want to.
Yeah, I would.
As soon as I win the lottery, I'm going.
I would pay it
When I win the
anyways.
lottery, I'm going.
Sorry, Nick. We're going to Disney World. We'll get married there. Oh my God. Please do that. Do the Disney princess dress up and then live stream to me.
But you're not allowed to wear costumes as other characters there. They will not let you enter the park if you are dressed as another character.
Yep.
Because there is only allowed one character in the entire park at a time. You will never see two Snow Whites in the entire park. There's only ever one Cinderella. So I can't go in a costume. They will not let you.
Motherfuckers.
I cannot have all my dreams come true.
There are numerous old phones sitting around the park.
Why?
Not entirely sure. Didn't find out that much. Just found out there's old phones sitting all over the park. Maybe old payphones.
Fun fact.
The Beatles actually broke up inside of the Disney park. Like Disney World, I believe, or Disneyland.
What?
Disneyland. It would have been Disneyland.
Now I hate Disney. Just kidding. I'll love you forever.
There are hidden Mickey heads all around the park.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and look, I did have it. Cinderella's castle has a secret suite, which Kendrah already...
Sorry.
No, it's all good.
I steal the thunder with this one, but I feel like you already knew that I would.
That's okay.
It's shared and you didn't even know.
Disney protagonists don't have mums because Walt Disney had lost his mother.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had that somewhere. Oh, no, I thought I had something down here about his mom somewhere that I forgot to put up here. I read that Bambi was the only Disney movie with a mother and not a father, as it came out before the passing of Walt's mother. But Kendrah and I actually were talking earlier this week that Toy Story actually has Andy's mom, but you don't know where Andy's dad is.
Ron actually got that idea, not me.
Yeah,
Give him
well,
full credit.
Thank you, Ron. It was, you know what, I was literally sitting there thinking, and Google kept saying Bambi, and I was like, no, his mom dies. But then when I actually thought about it, it's right. You only see his mom in it. You don't see his dad until, the end or something like that?
He does have a dad.
Yeah, the very, very end or something.
You see him, midway through.
Before
the mom dies.
It's been so long since
Before the mom dies, you meet the dad.
He's got clearly a no good for nothing dad who wanted nothing to do with him, I guess.
Toy Story.
Poor Bambi.
And I want to say also, The Rescuers, maybe?
The Rescuers. Oh, man. I haven't even seen that movie in a bazillion years, but I have it on VHS.
Not entirely sure. Anywho.
Kendrah actually told me this fact. In photographs of Walt himself, he always had his hand pointing two fingers because he didn't want kids to see him as a smoker, so they have the darts photoshopped out.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Walt actually didn't draw Mickey Mouse, but he was the original voice for Mickey.
Mm-hmm. And then it was this whole debacle when he claimed that he did draw him.
Mm-hmm. Walt Disney holds the record for most Academy Awards.
Wow.
Walt acted out the Snow White movie to have it sold and be made into a movie. It took over 50 years for an idea of a film Walt and Salvador Dali dreamt up. The film is now 6 minutes and 40 seconds long.
Huh.
In 1936, Disney had all the rights to colored animations before anyone else did.
Neat.
And Walt himself had 3 college degrees without ever attending college.
Were they from Disney College?
That would be absolutely amazing.
Or is it Disney University? I can't remember.
It's Monsters University. All right, so...
Can I kiss you? Gross, don't actually try.
I got garlic breath.
COVID.
Got garlic breath. I'm fully vaccinated.
Well, I don't want your cooties.
So now we're going to dig into some movie conspiracy theories. A lot of Disney fans on Tumblr, years ago, went super deep into trying to connect all the Disney movies together and noticing the Easter eggs that lie within those movies. Some fans even went as far to create a map as to show where some of the Disney movies would be located in real life locations. I do have the link for the map here, which we can put on, it'll be put on our blog, but we can also put it on Instagram or Facebook if anybody wants it as well, I guess.
You can just do it. It's totally.
So
you'll have to send it to me.
That's okay. So we're going to start in Lilo and Stitch. Apparently, Lilo's parents could be possible CIA agents, as you don't see them at all during the movie, and a CIA agent in the movie kind of recognizes them or whatever.
Bubbles?
I think so.
Bubbles is the big dude.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
Cool.
In Finding Nemo / Dory, Nemo is actually dead, and the whole movie is Merlin imagining him. Nemo actually means nothing in Latin, and Finding Nemo shows the 5 stages of grief and how Merlin accepts the death of his family and son.
That one I've heard before, and I was like, that kind of makes sense.
In Moana, Please correct.
Hi.
Hi. I was like, please correct me if I'm wrong. Hi from Moana is a demigod, as they appear to be the same age throughout her entire life.
I love Hi.
Moana actually died during the thunderstorm, but was brought back to life by Te in The Emperor's New Groove, there is a fly that is stuck to the spider web, and the fly is yelling help and got eaten by a spider. Do you remember that scene? It's right when Cusco first goes out into the woods as a llama. And he can only understand humans, not animals. So therefore, that fly could have been one of Yzma's experiments. Possibly. In Up, Carl has been dead the whole time, and the movie is his tunnel to the afterlife. The house going up into the air is his soul ascendant into the afterlife. Russell is an angel guiding him there. Kevin the bird is a higher calling, and Doug the dog is the transition all into the afterlife.
Don't you dare ruin the beautiful movie. Get out.
She's so upset right now.
I don't like that one.
I have triggered her. Trigger warning during this episode, even in my case. In Toy Story, or Toy Stories, Andy's mom is the real villain in Toy Story, as some people believe Andy's mom is Emily, Jesse's old owner.
Believe it.
As you see Andy wearing Jesse's hat in the movie, not Woody's.
Seen it, read it, believed it.
Mm-hmm. That one is very, very believable, that theory there.
It's a very common theory, I find.
Mm-hmm. In The Little Mermaid, Ariel's mom was killed by Captain Hook's ship.
What?
In Ariel's beginning, you find out how her mother died, which was being hit by a pirate ship.
That bastard.
Well, and it's because it's a pirate ship and Disney movies tie together, it's just assumed that it's Captain Hook, because the mermaids in Peter Pan, there is one that has red hair, and they all get very scared when they find out the pirates are coming. And they think that's Ariel's mom, Young.
Okay.
Ariel and Hercules are said to be cousins because in Greek mythology, Ariel's dad, Titan, means Poseidon, or Poseidon in Greek, therefore making them cousins because it's Hades, Zeus, and Poseidon.
That's all fair. That's fair.
In Snow White, the prince in Snow White is actually the Grim Reaper, walking her to the gates after she died from eating a poison apple. Gifts her with permanent slumber. She says goodbye to the dwarves and the white horse, and while sitting on a white horse, being guided with the prince, there's the glowing castle behind, and it said, is that the gates to the afterlife?
Don't hate it. Don't hate that theory.
I mean, the castle in Snow White does look pretty heavenly, I'm not gonna lie. And it could make sense. It makes sense, because, no offense to Disney movies, but I really don't think True Love's Kiss would bring somebody back from the dead if they were poisoned. So the Tangled, Frozen, and Tarzan connection,
yes,
which is one of the most popular theories. Real quick, Mother Gothel is said to be the evil queen from Snow White, as they're both super vain as fuck and craving that sweet, sweet youthfulness.
Okay.
If it was in Once Upon a Time, I could see them making that connection.
Okay.
Some people think Tangle predicted the future. They think that because she is in an isolated tower in the land of Corona, that Rapunzel and Mother Gothel knew what the fuck was up.
Okay.
It is said that Rapunzel is Anna and Elsa's cousin. You do see Rapunzel go into Elsa's coronation at the beginning of Frozen.
Yeah. Her and
Finn Rider.
Flynn.
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 I was close. Anna and Elsa's parents' shipwreck was them on their way to Rapunzel's wedding, and instead, clearly it crashed, they made their way onto an island after the wreck, and it is said that the ship in The Little Mermaid is actually their parents' ship.
Okay, so Anna's and Elsa's parents' shipwreck was on the way to Rapunzel's wedding.
Apparently.
Wouldn't it be Rapunzel's parents' wedding?
You would think.
Because Rapunzel and Anna and Elsa are
the same age, yeah.
So it would technically make more sense if it was Rapunzel's parents' wedding.
Especially if the kids were very young.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. So that
maybe it was Rapunzel's coronation. Or not her coronation. Like,
her birth?
Like the Sun Festival thingamajiggy.
Okay.
Maybe that's
her
what
wedding?
they mean.
No, debunked it. Don't like it. No, But I've heard the ship thing.
The ships do look very similar between both movies. But like I said, they made their way onto an island, and the whole time their parents were pregnant and ended up having a baby boy and tried to survive on the island. They soon encountered a leopard who killed and ate them, and the poor baby was saved by a gorilla named Kala. Is it Kala? Because I want to say Kayla because it's spelt the same way as my mom's name, but I'm pretty sure it's Kala.
Pretty sure it's Kayla.
Kala. She ended up naming the baby Tarzan. And it is also said that Jane is the great-great-granddaughter of Belle. They both wear yellow dresses and have very similar features and interest in fathers. Like very eccentric interest in...
I've never heard that one before.
But it makes sense. It would make sense.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Yeah.
So Inside Out, Monsters, Inc., and The Brave Connection.
Okay.
Bing Bong is Riley's imaginary friend, but spectators believe Bing Bong is a monster from the Monsters, Inc. universe that visited Riley when she was little, and then therefore imagined him as an imaginary friend after that.
I like that theory. That's cute. I like that.
Yep. In Monsters, Inc., some theories are that Boo figured out how to time travel by using the doors in Monsters, Inc. They think she is the old witch in Brave that uses doors for teleportation. But she is stuck in the land that Brave is in. And an Easter egg is actually in the background of her house, and you see a wood carving of Sully/Kitty.
Yeah, I do like that little theory.
Yep. Aladdin is apparently set in the future after an apocalypse. The genie says Aladdin's clothes look 3rd century. He was also in the lamp for 10,000 years. And in the Aladdin Sega game, it was made in 1993, but has a bomb at the very end of the game, like a nuclear bomb.
Okay.
And at one point in the movie, the Sultan stacks toys on top of one another, and one of the toys is actually a toy beast that is the same beast from Beauty and the Beast.
Huh.
The whole apocalypse thing, apparently that's a very popular theory. I'd never heard of it until I did the research. I could see it because, they also said that the genie makes a lot of, 20th century jokes and stuff. Mm-hmm. And Aladdin's kind of woo over half of the jokes. But, I don't know. Beauty and the Beast, Belle's book that she loves and has read twice, may be about Aladdin.
Why?
Because it's a prince. You don't find out it's a prince until the 3rd chapter. Oh, and there was another thing. And it was in, a sandy desert land.
Okay.
Something along those lines, yeah. And now, there is the Pixar conspiracy theory that all Disney Pixar movies are within the same universe. Kendrah actually sent me the site because it's called pixartheory.com, and I personally think that the timeline is a little weird and odd for the connection of the movies, but I'm going to do a quick summary of the entire thing.
Okay. It's my favorite weird Disney theory.
Well, the only thing that I think is a little odd is the years that they lined up with the movies. Because I'm just like, wait, what? And some of the things seem a little far-fetched. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Like, some of them just really threw me for a loop. Brave is set in the 14th/15th century, and after Mirda discovers magic along with Meaden, a witch who travels through doors with magic, it would lead to the start of superheroes. The Incredibles are set in the 1950s/60s, but when Buddy has a plan of being a villain and uses 0-point energy and creates a giant robot that help take down the superheroes. During this time, any toys within the area started to absorb the energy that was being put out from Buddy's machine.
Okay.
In Toy Story 1, it is set in 97/98. The toys, like I said, have sucked up the energy particles from the 0-point energy years beforehand and realize they also need human love to keep them thriving. They also found out how some humans treat toys, which is super scary.
Bastards.
Toy Story 2 is set in 99, and the toys figure out they need human love and cannot be kept away from them, while others try to find their purpose in life. Toys and animals begin to feel resentment towards humans. Finding Nemo is set in 2003. Fish are super smart and advanced underwater. They have schools and a whole bunch of other shit. Fish find out humans are destroying and polluting the waters and the land. Dory was apparently a test subject for human experimentation, and fish have more anger and resentment against humans. Their master plan is being made up as we speak, and the animal curiosity spikes.
Dun dun!
I don't understand Dory being experimented on, but...
Why is she so derp?
Apparently... So Ratatouille is set in 2007. Remy discovers cooking food is so much better than the shit that rats eat. Literal shit and garbage. I mean, they're rats. This is the first person/animal interaction in a Disney Pixar movie. Right? This is so Remy can control the minds of humans and other humans around. Toy Story 3 is set in 2010. Years later, them toys been through hell with us humans. Lotso the Huggin' Bear is an evil fuck who hates every human, so could this be the start of a war? Up is set in 2011 to 2016-ish. Carl is upset with the BLN and having to get rid of his house, so he ties a fuck ton of balloons and just pisses off from everything and everyone. He ends up meeting Doug, who is a dog with high-tech talking device on his collar.
I love Doug.
Squirrel. Ball. I love you. He also meets other animals with the same devices. Years later, there is a war between animals and humans. That, I don't fucking understand how you get a war after all that, but...
Oh, the wars.
Cars 1 is set in 2100 to 2200. The Cars helped save the war and save what little human population was left by sending them into space on a spaceship in space called the Axiom. The Cars were left on Earth to repopulate Kendrah. Cars have to repopulate and help run the world and keep shit in order. Woo! Cars 2 is also set in the same fucking time period. They adventure to Japan and Europe, showing no humans are still in existence. Oil is running low on Earth, and the Cars realize that is that good to survive. The BNL used to make the oil that now polluted the Earth so bad life cannot regrow on it. WALL-E is set in the 2800 to 2900 year. The BNL has completely ruined Earth since the 1950s and has made it no longer livable. WALL-E is an adorable little fucking robot who is the only machine left on this planet, and his best friend is a cockroach. WALL-E is so fascinated by the human race, and he has such a sense of purpose to help humans. So WALL-E, who is basically a homeboy robot JC, and the help of his cockroach friend and his love Eve, help bring the human race back to life, as there is a shoe at the end of the movie that shows a little seed growing into a big tree.
Now, I seen on a thing on TikTok the other day that I need to say about WALL-E.
Okay.
Why was there no other robots and just WALL-E?
I'm about to get into that. Okay? Are you ready? So A Bug's Life is set in 2898 to 3000. The tree in A Bug's Life is the little tree at the end in the shoe, is the little tree in the shoe at the end of WALL-E. The ants are super ants because they're basically mutated from all the pollution that happened. As ants normally have a lifespan of 3 months, and these ants seem to live for multiple seasons at a time. This could be a result, like I said, of mutated genes from the last 1,000 years. There are still no signs of human life until closer to the end when a child picks the wings off of a bug, in which case the Earth could only have had a few humans surviving off of the land at the time.
That did not answer my question.
Don't worry, hold on. Monsters University is based in 45,000 to 5,000. Radiation has affected life on Earth. Some animals have had mutations and turned into the monsters we love and adore in Monsters, Inc. You do see that in the university was founded in 1313, but this is in Monster Inc. years, not Earth years. It actually happened almost 14,000 years after A Bug's Life took place.
1400?
1,400 years after A Bug's Life took place, and the university taught monsters that humans were horrible. Oh, maybe I didn't put it in here. Oh, but basically on that site, going back to what you said, it was saying that the robots pretty much left the planet in general. Like, there was nothing there, so they just left to go find humans on other planets.
That's not the answer I had. So I'm going to ask again. Why was WALL-E the only robot?
I just answered that. I said all the other robots left the planet.
Because he dismantled them all because they kept touching his stuff and he's a hoarder.
I'm like, I just answered that. Monsters, Inc., again, was set in the same years as Monsters University. The monsters quickly realized that humans were the source to their powers, and soon they started using doors to time travel into different times and dimensions to scare or humor children, thus meeting Boo, who, like I said before, is possibly the witch from Brave. So it all kind of goes back into one big circle.
Comes full circle. It's a circle.
The circle of life.
It's a circle. No beginning, no end. It just keeps going. It's a circle.
So some dark Disney movie facts, which are going to have some dark Disney movies and all that fun stuff. So Tarzan, when we're going to call her Kayla because that's how it's spelt the same way as my mom's. When Kayla finds Tarzan, she stumbles across blood and his dead parents laying on the floor. And you also see Clayton fallen and get entangled in the vines. And then you see his shadow of him accidentally hanging himself, which is pretty morbid.
I don't remember that scene.
It's closer to the end, like right at the end.
Oh.
Him and Tarzan and Clayton are fighting, and he's got like his machete, and he's swinging, and all the vines, Tarzan kind of is like hucking them at him. And Clayton's getting all tangled, and you see him kind of struggle, and then you see Tarzan on the ground and the shadow on like this rock, and you see him like basically then hanging. Yep.
Huh.
Yep. In the movie Up, Ellie and Carl decorate their nursery only to suffer a miscarriage shortly after.
The whole beginning scene of Up is just heart-wrenching, okay?
It is. It's very sad. I did read that Ellie was the most saddest character passing in any Disney movie.
It so was. I watched it in theaters when it came out. And I'm telling you, those first 10 minutes, I was bawling my eyes out in that fucking theater, okay?
In Mulan, they are all singing, a happy go cheery song and then stumble across fallen soldiers and a fucked up village, like just wrecked. Once discovered as a woman, Mulan was almost killed and then left for dead in the fucking snow.
Yep.
In The Incredibles, the opening scene shows an attempted suicide.
What? Oh, right, the dude jumps out the window.
Mr. Incredible thought he was listening to his family's final moments in a plane crash.
Yep.
Closer to the end. In Finding Nemo, Merlin's wife and 400 babies get eaten by a barracuda, and only him and Nemo are left. Merlin. I called it Merlin earlier.
Whatever.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame, when Frollo was holding Esmeralda, he was telling her moistly in his ear he was imagining a rope around her neck.
Frollo was a...
Frollo or Folo, whatever the fuck his name is.
Frollo was a bastard.
Yeah. He was a sick fuck for Disney. He probably has to be one of the most fucked up Disney villains.
Hi, kitty.
Next to, like, Cruella, who the... We'll fucking get to it. In WALL-E, when every robot stopped working, WALL-E was left to clean up the Earth by himself.
It's a poor baby.
The humans on the spaceship are possibly cannibals and ate each other, which is why they never returned back to Earth.
Oh.
Because he talked to them at one point. And then, it's been so long since I've seen the movie, but it showed, the picture beside this, when I found it, showed, like, him talking to a computer screen with a person on it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
In Snow White, the evil queen hires the huntsman to find and kill Snow White, her own fucking stepdaughter, because she was more beautiful and kinder than herself, and demanded her heart as proof that she was dead.
God bless that huntsman for not murdering her.
Thank you for having a kind soul, sir. In Aladdin, Jasmine is expected to get married, but she is actually only 15 years old in the movie. Yep. In Zootopia, Judy stood up against bullying and basically got the shit kicked out of her. In The Lion King, Scar gaslighted Simba into thinking he was the one who killed his father, when Scar actually pushed him off a cliff and left him for dead. Oh, sorry. When Simba pushed Scar off the cliff and left him for dead in a fire and then eaten by his hyena friends. All of Sid's toys could feel their pain while being tortured and mangled. In Princess and the Frog, when Dr. Fassler?
No idea.
Basically the voodoo guy.
Dr. F.
Dr. F was being pulled into the gates of hell by demons.
Speaking of the gates of hell, can I just say that my favorite sassy person is Hades?
He's pretty fucking sassy.
I love Hades. I want him to be my best friend.
In Pinocchio, while being on Pleasure Island, if you were bad, you would be turned into a donkey and sold as slaves.
Pinocchio's a fucked up movie, okay?
So is Dumbo. They're both, but Pinocchio's
like
really
the original fucking Pinocchio movie, like, it's fucked. It's fucked, okay?
Yeah. And it's like, why were these allowed for children, some of them? It's like, so darkest Disney movies, The Adventures of Ichabod and Toad. Ichabod encounters the Headless Horseman and is basically never seen again. Like I just said, Pinocchio is kidnapped, sold, and threatened on Pleasure Island. Snow White and the Seven Dwarves is part of an attempted suicide. Attempted assassination. Lilo and Stitch, Nani and Lilo are basically orphaned and alone. Nani does everything she can to raise Lilo. Tarzan shows not only his parents' shipwreck, his parents' demise, Clayton's demise, and almost his own and his pack's demise. Basically, like everybody in that movie almost fucking died. Like, like everyone almost died. Dumbo had his mother separated and locked up for protecting him inside of their circus imprisonment.
Yeah, because boys were like throwing shit at him and picking at his ears, and then she was like,
She's basically like, you want to fuck
like,
on me?
Mad elephant, mad elephant.
Lock this bitch up. In Bambi, if anyone remembers, you almost see him die, but instead it was his mother that died.
Yeah, but he did get shot.
Yeah. In 101 Dalmatians, Cruella uses every amount of energy she fucking has in her body to kill skin and create fashionable items made out of Dalmatian puppies' skin.
Mm-hmm.
The Lion King, Scar spends the first bit of the movie plotting and killing his own brother just so he can be the king of Pride Rock. He also gaslights Simba and the pack during the film, and also puts a hit on Simba's life.
Mm-hmm.
In The Hunchback of Notre Dame, she is one of the darkest ones all around. It starts off with Quasimodo's near death as an infant and the murder of his mother, which was done by Frollo. He also attempts at killing Esmeralda and tries to burn her at the stake. Disney movies that are based off of creepy old stories. Mulan is a poem inspired by a heroic female warrior who takes her father's place in the war, and the poem actually ends up in suicide.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. Frozen is based off of The Snow Queen by Hans Christian Andersen. The Lion King is based off of Hamlet by Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a very well-known fact by most people,
But a lot of people actually don't know that.
Which is weird, because it's one of the most well-known facts about a Disney movie, what it's based off of. Snow White is a Grimm's fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm.
Mm-hmm.
The Little Mermaid is part of the Best Fairy Tales by Hans Christian Andersen. Cinderella is also part of the Grimm fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm. The Hunchback of Notre Dame is by Victor Hugo, and it is just called The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Sleeping Beauty is another Grimm fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm. Pinocchio is based off of Pinocchio by Carlo Collodi. Rapunzel and last but not least, Rapunzel is also by a Grimm's fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm.
May I tell you?
Yeah, but that's my case.
It was very great and wonderful, and I had a lot of fun listening, and I just have one more fun fact.
Yes.
So we were talking about the terrible, terrible things, and in the original Grimm's fairy tale with these stories, some of them were pretty fucked up, and I mentioned earlier how some of the originals I've mentioned to you before lots of times. Some of the originals are fucked up.
Well, I have the complete Brothers Grimm fairy tale, and it's got almost 300 books or
I want to say
stories.
You've also bought me one.
I'm not sure,
but anyways, I think that the worst of the worst, because it made me think of it earlier when you were talking about how Snow White could not be awoken by true love's kiss from the poison. Mm-hmm. It made me think of Sleeping Beauty. And a lot of people don't know the true story, which is that Prince Philip actually raped Aurora.
Yep.
And the only reason she woke up was because childbirth was so painful.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I mean,
so she did not wake up from true love's kiss.
I feel like everybody knows the Grimm fairy tale thing with Cinderella and the stepsisters' feats and the walking on coals and at the wedding thing, but not a lot of people know about the rape thing. Mm-hmm. So there's my not so fun fact.
Well, it's just like in Rapunzel. Rapunzel is named after a type of lettuce, and I believe she's also blind and has twins.
Oh.
Yeah. And I believe the prince, no, someone falls out of a tower into something and goes blind. And I'm like...
Into thorns.
Yeah.
But also in Aurora, the prince goes blind by walking through the thorns to try to get at her or something. We might be screwing this entire ending up.
Yeah, we could be completely mixing both of these stories
But what
together.
I want is the horror versions of the true Grimm fairy tales.
Let's do her up.
I want it.
We'll do it.
Please do it. Disney, acquire a horror company and make this happen.
Well, Disney does have a horror movie. It is an old animated horror movie, and it's literally like a minute or two long, and it's this big black demon shadow and a bunch of ghosts and skeletons. Have you ever seen it?
I don't know. Is it the skeletons dancing in the circle one?
I think so.
Okay.
And then, like, it's... Yeah, you can find it on YouTube. I'll show it. I'll show it to you.
When I think spooky Disney, the scariest possible thing I can think of is the Eddie Murphy haunted house friggin'
Oh,
movie.
the Haunted Mansion?
Yeah. But I mean, since they've bought so much now, you know, they own things like Criminal Minds.
Well, and they also have the Twilight Zone, too.
But they own freaking Criminal Minds. So, make this shit happen.
Yeah, they own a lot of shit. Disney's very powerful.
But anyways, we will bid you people good day.
Yes.
And we hope that you keep listening until next week.
Yes. See you later, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Special thanks to Dylan Sears for the theme song and Sally Gunter for the cover art. Support us on Patreon and like, share, rate, and subscribe to us on all of our social media pages and your podcast streaming service. Do you have any personal stories or suggestions for the show? Email us at bloodgutsandbooze@gmail.com.